We're back for season 2.
Yes, it's bigger. It's badder. It's
Oh, just get on with it.
bad scripts.
Welcome back to Bad Scripts. We're back for another episode. And joining me, Steve Jones, as always, our roving reporter, as it seems, we've got our super duper special host, Mr. Mike Garlia. Mike, where are you coming from today? What part of the world are you gracing us from?
London. I'm in London. Thank you. I needed that. I'm in London this week. Once again, my 5th week now of traveling weekly down to London. And to give you some context on this one, I feel it's time I can talk about this. Now, I've stayed in lots of hotels around the area, especially around the Canary Wharf area, which is where I'm working at the moment. And I like to mix it up, and I like a bit of variety. And despite warnings from many people around me and many colleagues saying, whatever you do, don't book this hotel.
Right.
Now, you know me, Steve, and I'm a bit adventurous. I'm a bit risky. And I'm thinking, why? Why should I not book this hotel? So I did. And I'm on my 2nd night here in this particular hotel. And I can now answer that question of why, having spent a night in this particular hotel.
And Mike, you did mention to me before we did the show that it's been an eventful night and that you wanted to share with me what happened, but you didn't want to tell me till we got here because you thought it was noteworthy and you wanted my reaction to be genuine. And I appreciate that. I think it's good. So tell me about your hotel. Tell me about the night you've had.
Well, if you can imagine, and I hope you haven't built it up too much now, because if you don't laugh, then it's going to be terrible. But if you can imagine a really old style, very large, kind of 12-story Victorian style building that's now been, now working as a hotel, and probably nice. A very, very old. Well, yeah, very, very nice. Now, my first impressions when I booked into this hotel wasn't great, because they genuinely asked me if I wanted to upgrade the room. And when I said, what do I get by upgrading? Their response was a window.
Would you like to get daylight? Is daylight
so
extra?
I paid money to get a window and all right, a slightly bigger room. And the irony is I paid for a window that won't close, because it's broken and it just won't close shut. So I'm getting all the noise from the street. I hope you can't hear it. So that was the first thing. And then, I'm on the 10th floor. It's quite high up. And I get into this rickety old elevator and up I go. And then, now, if you can remember the Overlook Hotel from the film The Shining.
Yes. The
carpet is exactly like that, except it's blue and gold instead of red and gold.
Yeah.
And it's a maze, this place. It's humongous. And as I'm walking round and, there is Victorian statues and Oriental statues, like life-size people, like dotted around everywhere, and Victorian pictures all over the walls. I'm expecting to see this kid on a 3-wheeler bicycle come skating around the corner towards me, and a couple of twins stood there holding hands. That's how I felt when I was walking up to my room.
Red rum, red rum, red rum.
And I get into my room, and it's okay. Okay, it's if you can imagine, I'll try and describe it to you. You can actually see my room, but listeners can't. It's really dark brown old furniture that's all banged up, and it's a kind of really deep red carpet. It's what you can imagine. And for those that have stayed in hotels like this, you can imagine it. Now, that's not the interesting bit. So it was rather uneventful, and you and I spoke last night, and it was all fine. And then we said our good nights, and I went to sleep. And I was sleeping peacefully away when I was rudely awoken at exactly 3:01 a.m. this morning.
Okay.
With the loudest sirens going off in my room. It was a fire alarm, and it was so loud. So you do what any normal person does. So I thought, give it 20 seconds and see what happens. I can't smell burning. I can't smell anything. So I'm going to give it 20 seconds. So I did. It's still going. It's still going. Okay, I'm going to have to get out of bed. So and this was ear piercing. It was screeching. So I then, I'm looking around and it's pitch black in my room and I'm trying to find, my watch and my phone and my coat because I'm in a shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then it went off. It stopped. I thought, it stopped. That's good. So I walked over to the bed again and I sit down on the bed. Then I get into bed and then I pull the covers over me and I'm thinking, okay, well, time to get some sleep. And it starts again.
Oh my God.
So I'm thinking, okay, so I get out of bed again. But then I'm stood in the room. I'm just stood there in the room, not really knowing what to do. And I'm thinking, should I go? Should I go outside or should I stay in the room? And then it stops again.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, that's fine. It stopped again. Clearly it's not evacuation. But if it goes a third time, I'm going to leave the room. So as soon as I sit down on the bed, woo, 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 it starts again. So this time I've got my coat, I get my coat and I go out into the hallway, into the corridor. And the lights were dim, so there was hardly any light. So it was really, really dark and I couldn't really see. And the weird thing is there was no one in the corridor on the 10th floor. Right. And I'm walking and I'm trying to find the fire escape, the stairs. Yeah. And I couldn't find the stairs anywhere. I could see the lifts, but you're not supposed to use lifts.
Yeah.
And I'm walking around these corners and I'm walking around the shining hallway. And then I promise you, I run into someone who looks like I run into someone who looks Victorian. Just stood there staring back at me and I absolutely crap myself. I bolt backwards and I'm like, my heart's going, right? The siren's still going. There's hardly any light. And then I realize it's one of these statues. It was just in silhouette and I couldn't see it properly. So I walk up and I'm like touching the statue and then I'm stood there and then the sirens completely stop again and it stops and it's all quiet and eerie and really, really quiet. And I'm like, okay, what do I do now? So I thought, just go back to my room. This is 3:20 this morning. So this is what I'm dealing with now. This has been like 19 minutes of this experience. So I turn around and I start walking back to my room. And as I'm walking back to my room, the lights start initiating it as I'm walking back, but they didn't do it on my way out. So that freaked me out. I jumped out of my skin again. So I get back to my
Mr.
room.
Bean.
I get back to my room and I get into bed and luckily I managed to fall back asleep. So I get up this morning after that night and then when you think to yourself, did I dream that? Did that really happen? And now this is going to sound incredulous, but you know me, Steve, I'm not one for tall tales and I don't make stuff up. This genuinely happened, but if I took a picture of it, no one would ever believe me. I turned on the faucet for the shower this morning.
All right, yeah.
Yep. And I'm going to get in the shower, but the shower has 3 settings, which is hot, scalding hot, and really scalding hot. and as soon as and then when I push the faucet down, it comes out the tap. It then cooled down, so I realized there wasn't any cold water getting to the shower head.
Yeah.
So, but because of that, the shower room, the bathroom steamed up. And written on the mirror in front of me when I turned and looked at it was the words, "I see you."
Oh my God.
I promise on my life. Now, it couldn't have been a Victorian. It couldn't have been a Victorian ghost because you was spelled you, as in the U, not Y-O-U. Now, I'm thinking they were very... Yeah, they would have been much more educated and much more articulate. So I kind of chuckled to myself. I thought someone else here is obviously had an experience. Anyway, I go down to the lobby and I go to reception and I say, excuse me, I'm staying tonight. Can we expect any more surprises at 3:00 in the morning? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, the fire alarm that went off last night. And she went, I don't know what you're talking about. And I went, a fire alarm went off last night for about 20 minutes. And she went, all right, let me go and look into that for you and come back with an answer. Right. And is it me? I'm stood there going, what answer do you need to get? Do you need to validate the fact I'm not going mental in your really old as balls Victorian hotel? So that's my story. That's what happened after we left last night.
That's not the story. Did you find it? Did it genuinely happen, or did you dream it?
It did. Well, I don't know because I never got an answer. But there was a guy I recognised who got in the lift with me tonight, and I turned to him He's on the 9th floor, I'm on the 10th. And he was there yesterday because I saw him checking in. And I said, that was an eventful night. And he went, what do you mean? I went, oh, that fire alarm at 3:00 in the morning. And he went, well, mate, I don't know what you were, but I didn't hear a thing.
Oh, my God. Are you sure it genuinely happened and you didn't just...
It genuinely happened. No. It genuinely happened. Because I was out of bed and walking around and it wouldn't have been that vivid. But yeah, there was a part of me that thought, did that really happen or am I just losing the plot? But yeah, so I'm not going to mention this hotel. I'm not going to mention the chain or anything like that. And I will not be coming back, but I am coming to you from Canary Wharf here in London. And thanks for listening to my story, which is all true.
Well, thank you, Mike. I do appreciate that. That's made me chuckle. I think the fact that you didn't try and ring reception then and say, is there a problem with the fire alarm at 3 a.m? I think that would have been my first call, just in case they needed to evacuate the hotel.
No, Steve, who is thinking clearly at 3:00 in? Come on.
Well, obviously not you.
I was too busy skulking the halls at 3:00 in, touching up Victorian statues. That's what I was doing.
It wasn't one of those Greek ones where it has like the breast out and stuff on it, was it? It wasn't one of those you were just sort of going and rubbing up against.
So you've stayed here then?
Oh well, what an unusual start to this episode of the podcast. A little bit of a day in the life of Mr. Mike Garlier. So that's it's never a dull moment for you, Mike. I must say we do tend to get the great stories coming out whenever you make your travels around the world. But apart from ghost alarms and touching up statues, you've had a good week since our last record.
It's been a good week. We've done some more writing and expanded the script a little bit more, introduced new characters. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this one and getting back into the story. What about you? Have you had a good week too, Steve?
I have. I've enjoyed the process. I think things are coming together nicely, and I'm looking forward to getting into this too and letting everybody hear what's going on. So, hey, without further ado, let's jump in. Interior, entertainment office, morning. Karen is sat at her desk, slowly typing away and making continual glances over the large PC monitor. The office is very quiet, except for Karen's typing, and a small, ginger-haired, middle-aged man sat in a chair, staring intently at the door. Are you sure you don't want to come back?
No.
He says this without moving at all. Karen continues typing. I could take a message if you like.
I'm fine waiting.
Karen nods at this, and a thought crosses her mind. What's your favourite biscuit? At this time, John turns to face her, somewhat perplexed.
I'm sorry?
Biscuits. Everyone likes them. You can tell a lot about someone's favourite.
Well, I've never really thought about it.
I think about it all the time. I'd always ask, you see, and it's such a lovely surprise for them when you get them in.
See how you've not changed, Karen. I thought you'd go all uppity when you left housekeeping.
I'm just me, John. John looks at his watch and sighs.
Digestive.
Chocolate?
Plain?
Ooh, controversial.
Why?
I know. Most people prefer the chocolate one.
Not me. What I like about a digestive, they're reliable, solid for dunking, and you always know where you stand with one. No surprises, no fuss.
All right.
Not like your department, Karen. That's a lot like a pink wafer, that is, isn't it? Doesn't do well under pressure, falls apart when wet, but it endures, because, the kids love them.
Karen looks down with a what the hell expression. There is a long and uncomfortable silence.
I've got to be getting off. Is he going to be much longer?
As John says this, Mark and Wayne walk in. John and Mark spot each other, and the room suddenly gets cold. John stands up.
I'm looking for Alan.
Mark, taking off his coat, calmly hangs it up and responds to John.
He's not here. Didn't Karen tell you?
I did quite a few times, actually.
Then where is he? He didn't say. Have you tried calling him? Yeah, but I need to speak to him now. I don't know what to tell you, John. I've not seen him all day. This can't wait, Mark. It's urgent.
Looks like someone's not listening. John glares at Wayne, who smiles smugly back.
Is it something I can help you with, John?
John sneers at this.
You lot, you think you're all high and mighty, don't you?
I do.
Let me be clear. Again, I run the operations side of it here, and no decision should be made without my say-so. That includes you,
pointing at Mark,
and you,
pointing at Wayne,
when it comes to the planning and running of this place. I understand that, John. Has something happened? Has something happened? When's it ever not? What about that fiasco at New Year?
Oh, you mean when that time that we saved your bacon?
Saved my bacon? You lot did that and cost us bloody thousands to replace all those sheets. Destroyed a lot of them, you did.
Was a good toga party, though. Well worth it.
We've covered this, John. We had no choice. And let me remind you, you weren't here. So what? Did I get a call? No.
Weren't you in Thailand? Heard those Bangkok ladyboys are almost as good as the real thing.
It's not the point. This is a big resort with a lot of moving parts here. Any one of my managers should have been informed. I know you twirlies think you run the place, but you don't. And there are processes that need to be followed. Understood, John. Point made. I prefer to be on top of things here. That's not so hard to take now, is it?
Is that what you said at the massage parlour in Ho Chi Minh?
Ho Chi Minh? That's Vietnam, you erudite.
Error what? I'm Church of England, me. John ignores Wayne.
I'm charging your department for all the damage caused, all right? Fair enough. Anything else?
John smirks.
Yeah, actually. As a matter of fact, there is. I'd like to know who's messed up.
Messed up with what? It wasn't me.
Oh, you don't know. Know what?
John walks over to the window and opens the blinds. Karen blinks rapidly as the room gets brighter.
You lot should take a look out the window every once in a while.
Mark and Wayne walk to the window and look out. Outside is a large group gathering and walking, with buses and lorries parked everywhere. What are we meant to be looking at?
It's the religious festival. This happens every year.
John smiles again.
Why don't you both look again? Closer.
They both look more intently. Wayne gets fed up. Can you just stop playing silly buggers and tell us what the issue is?
Religious festival, yeah. Celebrating the start of Lent and the life of Jesus Christ, our Saviour.
The penny drops with Mark.
Oh, shit.
Still not following other than you sounding mental?
Since when is the seventh seal invited to a festival for God? Or them over there? Beelzebub's brethren. Satan's sacrament. Shall I go on?
Well, I could also see the Sisters of the Holy Communion, the Chapter of Our Lord, and the Disciples of the Fallen too. Oh, wait. Mark turns to Karen.
Karen, the company bookings that's been made, who authorised them?
Karen types slowly into a PC. It seems to take an age. Alan authorised the bookings for the weekend.
You see, That's what I'm saying. That would never have happened if I were kept in loop. This is mayhem. All right, okay. We can control this. We just need a plan. A plan? We've got a resort full of well-to-do religious folk mixing with a load of bloody devil worshippers.
I honestly didn't know. Mark walks to his desk.
No one's blaming you, Karen. So where is Alan? I've told you, I don't know. I don't keep tabs on him. Well, someone does. We can get this fixed. Right, John?
John sighs and takes a deep breath.
Well, we're better. If this goes tits up and the press find out, this summer will be ruined. This is crazy. Okay, can you get reservations to segment them from each other? One lot to the east of the resort and the other to the west. We can work on splitting them up across the venues. No, I can't. It's too late for that. If we were actually told, I could have. All rooms are allocated and we're fully booked, all right? So what can we do?
John paces up and down the office. He sighs again.
All right. Okay, look, tell you what. We'll brief bar staff and I'll put on extra security in the venue. Plus, additional patrols around resort. All we can do is try and keep the peace. The last thing we need is a bloody riot.
Wayne opens a bag of Monster Munch. Nasty lot, these religious types. No one laughs at this ill-timed joke. What can I do?
I'll call the police and explain the situation, just in case. Karen, can you sort the venues out? And Wayne, brief the coats.
Karen leaves the office. Where do you want them?
Let's put the demons in the pavilion and the angels in the main venue. That should do it. Equally split the coats across the two. Give out as many walkie-talkies as we've got. It's 3 days, and then, God willing, it'll all be over. Good luck. And next time, ask Alan to pick up the phone and actually speak to me, yeah? A bit of professional fucking courtesy goes a long way, lads.
John storms out of the office. Wayne follows behind him as Mark sighs, staring out of the window. Karen re-enters with a mug of coffee and some biscuits. Here you are, Mark. Your favourite. Pink wafers. Mark picks one up and takes a bite.
Karen, get me Alan on the phone. Pronto.
Ooh. So there's trouble at Mill.
Trouble at Mill. Trouble at Mill.
Yeah. So who books a religious festival and devil worshippers on the same weekend? What's going on there?
Alan does it. Alan doesn't give two shits of anything. He's like, yeah, pack them in and what have you.
So he's obviously not paid attention to who the people are that are booking. He's just authorized all these group bookings, thinking, he must have done. There's no way somebody's going to sanction that.
Technically speaking, whichever side of the line you're on, it is still religion, right? Isn't it? So technically, absolutely. Alan's just open. Maybe it's the whole yin and yang. It's the being fairness and equality. So I don't see a problem with that, and not sure it would happen in real life, of course, but that maybe it has. I don't know.
Well, this is it. I mean, I think this was something that used to happen, and we used to get this. Not the devil worshippers, but there was a Christian festival used to happen at the resort we worked at. I remember it used to be a very different couple of weeks compared to the rest of the season. Really, quite calm and relaxed and a very sort of serene atmosphere, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it was calming, and there was a lot of kumbaya-ing as well, which I still don't know what that means to this day. But I remember it was almost like, from what I remember of that, it was, everyone would bring instruments and music, and there'd be people and, bands playing at every corner, and, anywhere that, even outside, it was just music everywhere. It was like and I remember DJing at one of these Christian festivals actually, and all the CDs I had were religious CDs, and I think I played the soundtrack of Sister Act 2 at one point just to liven things up a little bit.
God bless Whoopi.
Can you imagine not being familiar with kind of Christian rock music and Christian pop music, and then being asked to DJ and not having a single clue of what each song is? That's what it was like, which is why I put Sister Act 2 on.
Do you know what? You could have been playing the Christian equivalent of Barbie Girl by Aqua, and they'd all be like, "Oh, this is rubbish," and you wouldn't know. You would be completely unaware.
You would not know. You would not know. But that's not the main point I want to talk about, Steve. I've got a question I'm dying to ask you right now.
Go for it.
What's your favorite biscuit?
Now, I think it's difficult, and for our American friends, when we talk about biscuits, we mean essentially what you would call cookie. So, we're not talking about big biscuits and gravies, which we would probably call a suet dumpling type affair or something. A muffin of dumpling. That, yeah,
no one's eaten a suet dumpling since 1989.
Well, have you know, I had one last week, so let's not go there. But yeah. So in terms of that, I think I am partial to a chocolate digestive. I won't lie. A Cadbury's finger, like a cheeky finger, occasionally. Not a fan of a hobnob though. Not a hobnob fan.
No.
Ginger. I'm not particularly keen on ginger nuts either, which is quite ironic. So ginger nuts is I can see that it's an acquired taste. A ginger nut. It is. I don't mind one, but it's not something you're going to binge on. Do you know what I mean? Not like you could take a whole packet of chocolate digestives and just pour them in my mouth. That'd be fine. But just one ginger nut will fit in at a time.
Well, now I'm wondering how many chocolate fingers you can take at the same time.
well, you know what I say. Do you remember the old joke? Do you remember the old joke they used to say? What was it? What's the difference between Paris Hilton and a Kit Kat? You can only get 4 fingers in a Kit Kat.
No, I've never heard of that, and I do not endorse that joke at all.
This joke is not endorsed by Mr. Mike Collier. Anyway, that's enough chocolate biscuit talk. I think perhaps it's better if we sweep that under the carpet and move on to our next scene.
You want to sweep your biscuit under the carpet?
Yeah, well, it was getting a bit soggy, right? Interior, green room, morning. Dan walks into the green room to see Donna staring at the schedule. She looks openly upset. Dan immediately walks over to her. What's wrong, love? Donna turns to Dan, a look of anger crossing her face. The rota has changed. Has it? Dan walks over to the rota and peers at it. It's worse. I'm pulling splits for the rest of the week. I won't have any time to do my washing or anything. And in between all that, I've got character rehearsals to do. Seems I'm the new Moo. You're the new Moo. That's great, Donna. Didn't you just hear me, Dan? On this rota, for this week alone, I'm scheduled to work over 70 hours. That's 4 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 for rehearsals, and then 6 on evenings. For 6 days solid. Dan scrutinizes the schedule, adding all of this up. Why would she do this? I haven't done anything wrong to her. It's just not fair. I don't think it's personal, babe. How can you say that? You've seen how she's been with me. She explained it all when I saw her last night. Donna turns viciously around at Dan. She said that we're the experienced ones, so we have to pick up the slack. You spoke to her? Yeah, of course I did. Donna stares at Dan, trying to contain her anger. What did you say to her, Dan? I just said the rota wasn't fair, And some of us feel like we're getting shafted a bit, Who? Who did you say felt that? Well, you and me. I was just trying to stick up for us, babe. Donna pulls the rotor off the wall and thrusts it to Dan's chest. Look at your duties then, Dan. Dan scans the page for his name. And what did it say? Dan registers this and nods his head. He looks down. Exactly. And you think it's not intended? Not on purpose? It's not that. It sounded right when she explained it. Why did you have to say anything? You promised me. It's worse now. I'm sorry. I'll fix it, love, I promise. Don't do anything. You'll no doubt side with her anyway. Donna storms out of the green room, leaving Dan stood there with a rotor in his hands. Adam walks in.
Good new schedule, eh, mate? We're covering the Dodgems. Hey, bit of DJing, flying around on the back of them cars, chatting up the yummy mummies. What do you think? Good, eh?
Dan barely smiles and puts the rotor back on the wall. Adam doesn't seem to notice.
I'm telling you, mate, after last season, I'm going to be all over it. No more relationships, no more Mr. Nice Guy. They're all them religious lot as well. No greater challenge.
Oh, yeah, and a load of devil worshippers.
Is there any difference? All I know is I'm going to be having fun this season. No commitment, no love, just lots of outsewing, if you know what I mean.
Haley walks into the green room and smiles happily at them both. Dan stares at the floor, looking sad, whilst Adam's eyes hungrily stare at her. She looks at the rotor, follows her finger down, and with a tap, turns around to exit the room.
See ya!
Haley leaves.
Hey, number one on my list, Danny boy.
Adam leaves, following the same direction as Haley. Dan doesn't move from the chair.
Hold up, Haley. Go my way. You are? Well, come on. I'll escort you.
Well,
are we suggesting here that Adam does indeed have hungry eyes?
he's got hungry eyes. He definitely appears to be, somewhere in the Swayze syndrome.
It's such a weird line, though. When you really think about it, whilst Adam's eyes hungrily stare at her, I don't think my eyes have ever hungrily stared at anything. I don't think they've got the capacity to.
I think in 1996 I did that to a pizza.
And you never looked back since.
Never.
Well, but yeah, I was going to leave. I was going to leave with a joke then, and then decided not to.
So, all is not well with Dan and Donna. So Dan, we know from the last episode, had made attempts to get Kelly to adjust the rotor to be more pleasant for them all. I don't think they were asking for favoritism or anything, just fairness. And Dan's gone in with good intentions, and it's definitely backfired. Kelly has been her usual manipulative self and sort of made out that she's going to help Dan out. And actually, although it's not mentioned there, it's implied Dan's shifts are better. But Donna's paid the price for that. So do we think that's intentional? Do we think that Kelly's done that to get a rise out of Donna or?
Oh, absolutely. I would say it is. She's just playing mind games with them and divide and conquer. I don't think there's any real big twist to the story there. I think we kind of built it was coming as soon as Dan, and I think Donna Donna would have known that, which is why she said don't say anything, and then he has, and it's made it worse for her. And I think Kelly will know that. So yeah, I think it's 100% done on purpose, and if Kelly can get away with it, of course she's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's causing a real divide between Dan and Donna the way she stormed out. We've not seen them falling out. The whole of last season, there wasn't any conflict between Dan and Donna, so it's interesting to see that Kelly's getting her claws in and making more trouble. So be interesting to see where that goes next.
It certainly would. So let's go and find out.
Interior, main venue, day. Dotted around the main entertainment venue are large market stalls and stands displaying various religious events, clubs, churches, and retail goods akin to a comic book convention. It is teeming with people going from stand to stand, engaged in various conversations. Gathered between are groups of teenagers sitting in circles chatting, playing guitars, and penny whistles. It is awash with life. Campcoats are dotted throughout, chatting to guests and talking to one another as they pass on instructions. The house lights suddenly dim. Spotlights circle the room as an overhead announcement fills the venue.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please give it up for Camp Holiday's hottest boy band sensation. Welcome onto the stage, Dan, Adam, and Robin. They are Fusion.
As each band member takes to the stage, they wave and clap their hands to an unimpressed audience who look confused. The boys then take their place in a serious pose. The music starts and they begin their routine. Interior, main venue, backstage, day. The boys, looking hot and sweaty, walk backstage. We can hear the sound of the conference start again in the background. Well, that was embarrassing.
It's a matinee performance. What do you expect?
They didn't even clap at the end. I mean, they looked bemused.
The three at the back were into us.
They were taking the piss, mate. Dan quietly continues getting changed, saying nothing during this exchange.
Well, maybe they were. Who cares? That was a decent performance. Dan, you were on fire, mate.
Dan just nods his head, saying nothing.
There's some proper lookers out there too, eh? Bit of harmless advertising doesn't do us any harm.
Oh, please, you don't stand a chance with any one of them. No sex before marriage with this lot.
Challenge accepted. Hey, Dan?
Dan puts on his coat. What time's the next show?
Soon, in the pavilion. That one is going to raise the roof off.
All right, I'll catch you over there, eh? Dan quietly leaves. And what's wrong with him?
I don't know. Now listen, I know you don't like feedback, but I noticed your timing was a bit off in the second song.
Robin throws Adam a very dirty look. Interior, pavilion venue, bar, day. Colin and Gary are working the bar. The place is incredibly lively. Unlike the main venue, it's full of partygoers and revelers. Almost entirely everyone is dressed in black. There is death metal music blasting out of the PA system, and a couple of makeshift mosh pits dotted around, complete with lank-haired revelers smashing into each other. The campcoats are in pairs, stood with security, surveying the venue, all apart from Mushy P, who is headbanging with a large group of bikers.
Bloody hell, Gary. I thought I'd seen it all.
Good atmosphere. Yeah, great music.
Are you into this shite?
Used to be. Yeah, mate. I mean, yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, what can I get you? Two hairy rockers are now stood at the bar. 6 snake bites, 3 cider and black, and 12 apple sours, please. Gary nods and begins serving the drinks.
Hey, there's only 9 of us.
I know. The rest are from me and yous. As Gary serves up a line of sours, both rockers down the first 2, headbutt each other playfully, and start loading the shot glasses onto a tray. Gary puts down the last pint. That's 39 quid, mate. Oh, bloody much? The rocker rummages around in his pockets, chains flying everywhere as he removes his wallet. Gary stands patiently waiting.
Oh, bugger me. Giger?
What?
Giger Gary. It's you, isn't it?
You must be confused, mate.
No, I'm not. It's you.
All right, then just keep it on the down low, okay?
Holy shit. We all thought you were dead.
What are you talking about?
You remember? Giga Gary. I told you about him. Legend.
The first rocker looks intently at Gary. It bloody is. I've seen the pictures. How you doing, mate? Hey, why'd you chop off your hair? At this, Colin walks over.
Friends of yours?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Long time ago. Have you heard him? It wasn't that long ago. Proper mental you are. Batshit crazy. Made us all look normal. Ooh, Gary?
Here, go and get the rest of the crew. They love to see this. Rocker 2 runs off from the bar. Rocker 1 stares intently at Gary. So, why'd you leave? Just, I'd had enough. Colin starts smirking.
I think I want to hear more about how mental he is.
Rocker 1 shoots a fierce look at Colin. And who the fuck asked what you wanted? Was I talking to you?
Well, Gary's me mate.
Is he now? The Gary we knew would have chewed you up and shot you out. Gary lifts himself up over the bar and stares harshly at the rocker, who immediately backs down and lowers his head, then sheepishly takes another shot. Are you paying for them drinks? The rest of the rockers arrive, getting a good look at Gary.
Oh, told you, there he is. What a sight, eh? Looking all normal. Giger! You remember these lot, don't ya? Freddie Bumboyle, Ron Seal, Becky Bucket, Dogshit Dave and Keith.
They all nod to Gary. All right. Hail to the morning star. Gary just nods his head and makes a sign of the bull. They all nod back in appreciation before taking their drinks and disappearing. We'll catch up later, yeah? Says Becky Bucket. Yeah, sure. Rocker 1 and 2 begin walking off. Oi, 39 quid. Rocker 1 stops short and turns around. Oh yeah, forgot. How about a discount? Gary looks at him for a moment. Just give us 35, all right? Cheers, Giga, mate. Rocker 1 hands over a bunch of screwed up notes, and Gary goes to the till to balance it all. At this, the house lights drop and the stage lights activate. Once again, the presenter speaks loudly into the microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Camp Holiday's very own boyband sensation, Fusion.
The pop music kicks in, and Adam, Dan, Robin all enter the stage, immediately breaking into their dance routine. Once again, stunned silence. It doesn't last long. What the fuck is this? Rocker 1 throws his pint in the direction of the stage, which starts a chain of events, booing, shouting, and hissing as the audience turns on the boys. Plastic bottles and cans are being thrown at the stage. A large crowd gathers on the dance floor as we see them yelling and swearing. An open bottle of urine strikes Robin on the arm, which splashes out onto the stage and all over him. Ew! Oh, fuck this! Oh, I'm off.
Keep it going. Come on.
Robin storms off stage, and Dan follows. Adam is stood on the stage by himself. The music abruptly shuts off. There is silence as Adam stares into the baying crowd. The silence is broken as death metal fills the venue once more. Adam, taking his cue, quickly leaves the stage. This is met with a gigantic cheer from the crowd as the moshing starts up again. We follow Adam backstage to where the boys are stood. Robin is using a paper towel to blot out his urine-soaked clothes. Ugh, are you happy now?
It was one bad show.
Someone threw a bottle at me.
It was... all right, it was just beer.
It was piss, you arsehole. Robin starts collecting his things.
What the hell? It was one bad show. So you got a golden shower. I'm sure it's not the first you've ever had.
Oh, you can go to hell, Adam.
Oh, come on. Robin, I'm just kidding. Come on. What is wrong with you? You've been on one all day.
You just don't seem to get it, do you, Adam?
Get what?
Oh, just forget it.
No. Come on. Tell me. Oh, let me guess. You mean putting together an awesome boy band, doing all the choreography, and you know what? Let's just get down to it. If you've checked out, mate, just say, and I'll find someone else who can step in and replace you.
Robin takes a moment and stares at Adam.
I didn't mean that.
But you did. And maybe you should. Adam turns to Dan, who is looking forlorn.
Are you not going to say anything?
Yeah. Night, lads. See you later. Dan walks out. Adam looks confused, and Robin storms off. Ooh, well, there we are. There's it's been a night of conflict and trouble. When you look at those three scenes together, you kind of go, there's a lot going on now. There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of problems. How's this all going?
There's a lot of backstory. There's a lot of character reveal as well, isn't there?
I think so. We're learning a little bit more about Gary. Gary, the
who is
devil
Gary?
worshipper. Yeah,
who is Gary the devil worshipper? Where's that come from?
Maybe we'll find out more. Maybe we won't. We're just going to have to stay tuned to find out. What's where are we going with this then, Mike? So we've got these three scenes. I guess we're a few episodes into the podcast now, which is, you know, in script terms, we're still in the first episode of the script. It's early in the season. Are we just building up to a bit of a crescendo here? Is there something on the horizon that's going to explode, or are we just getting grumpy in our old age?
No, I think we're adding a bit more conflict and realism into it. And, you know, like, look, for a lot of these guys, it's their second series. It's their second season. And you can never replicate the first. The first was always the best. It was always the coming together and the discovery and the finding yourself. And when you try to do the same things again, it's never as good. It's like, you know, when you go on holiday and then you go back to the same resort the year after and it's never as good. And that's, I think, what we're trying to convey, that it just, you can't live up to the expectations that you had first time round.
Yeah, that magic's never quite the same, is it? Because there's always there's always a comparison. So there might be something that's better, but often the magic's not quite there and things have become a little bit more mundane, and, you know, what feels like the shine on things is slightly tainted. You know, I mean, the boy bands had a bad reception, which they've been really lucky before. It's always been really well received. So suddenly, you know, I mean, through no fault of their own, this is not the audience for them, essentially, in either venue, but it's causing more conflict. And I think, you know, are we talking about the boy band's time being possibly coming to an end, or can they recover from this? Can they find a resolution and be happy again?
I don't think there is a boy band without Robin, because I think he's the heart of the band. And we know that Bernie's dropped a few seeds in his mind, and we're seeing that play through just now, which I think is normal. Robin is questioning the value of it, what he's doing, and he's, you know, Adam's right to see this. He is checking out slightly, But I also think Adam is just so self-involved and so focused. Like he's on stage and he suggests, keep going, keep performing against the baying and hissing and booing crowd with bottles flying everywhere.
Yeah.
Just shows you where Adam's head's at. He doesn't really give a crap about the well-being of the others. He just cares more about the show itself.
And it was really interesting to read him say, or to write him say, that he put the band together and he did the choreography, because we've always said that, you know, it was a group thing, and that and they worked together and stuff. Do you think that Adam's in genuinely in his head feels like it's his band and he's completely
100%? I do. And the fact that, you know, it goes without saying, I don't want to state the obvious here. Not one person's asked Dan how he is.
No, and Dan doesn't look in a good way, does he? I think his falling out with Donna's hit him hard, because this is their first real conflict. So they've been together a while now, and suddenly, you know, other than.
But wouldn't that be right? Wouldn't that be right if it's Dan? Let's say it's Dan's first real love in his life, for instance.
Yeah.
It feels like the world is falling apart, and I think that's probably a natural reaction, that he doesn't know how to process those emotions, because it's Dan the man and he just doesn't think that deeply about stuff, and then suddenly he's hurt someone who he loves through good intention. Yeah. I think that's probably because I know from myself how withdrawn you become, and you've seen it. You and I have been friends a long time, so we know each other's triggers, and it does take that one person to say, come on, let's talk about it, because Dan's probably catastrophizing in his mind and just going through the motions. He's not present. He doesn't seem. I think if you asked Dan like what happened at those shows, he wouldn't be able to tell you. He said, "Yeah, well, we did a couple of shows." He wouldn't know really what's going on. He's just not. He's not there and not present.
No. Interesting.
And you're right.
Interesting that he performed well though, because he wasn't thinking about it. Adam even said, "You were on fire out there, mate."
Yeah.
So,
that's usually the case, isn't it? The distraction takes over, but. You are right that the last few episodes have been deep in conflict, but they without creating a whole storyline around this religious festival, I thought that there was enough in there to bring our peripheral characters to life, to introduce John as the kind of operational manager, and to widen that view of there's more going on around them, and where there's smoke, there's fire. So even referring back to what happened at Christmas, that's had repercussions that we've now learned. So again, it sounds so disingenuous saying this, because we've written it. We knew this was going to happen, and we've written it in a way that will keep building up and building up and building up.
Yeah, 100%. But I think it lends to our thought process in terms of developing this new story with these characters and opening the world up a little more to them. So it almost reflects your journey when you go to these places or work in these places, that after time you start to get to know more people, and in your first season you might not talk to as wider group of people. You may start to socialize more in a more general setting, people from other departments who were second season or whatever. You may recognize them, and that sparks a conversation, and you end up doing it. So by expanding who's involved in the storyline, I feel like we're sort of mirroring that somewhat. So it's a little bit of that kind of, the world gets bigger as you become accustomed to the way it is, and then there's more and there's more. And so I think there's going to be fun on the way. There's going to be more antics on the way, and there's even going to be a few surprises. I think we've got up our sleeves that hopefully everyone's going to enjoy. So listen, Mike, we've done that thing again where we've got through the script. We've had a good chat. You've told us about your dreams about fire alarms, whether they be real or not.
They were real. Oh, they were real. That was real.
But that leaves us with one last thing that we need to do, which, as every week now we always do, which is to get your famous words of wisdom to end the episode. So, Mike, please regale us with something that will help us get through the rest of this week. And on to the next episode.
Well, I will end on this point. Life is like a pink wafer. It doesn't stand well under pressure. It gets soggy when wet, but the kids love them.
And on that note, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Bad Scripts podcast. Goodbye. Bad Scripts was written and performed by Mike Garlia and Steve Jones, a Beach Tide production.